Okay, this isn't a video about any old retro game or what I'm playing or anything. It's just me kind of shooting straight a little bit on video. I got my bottle of Pepsi here, so I'm going to probably take a few sips while I'm talking to you. But um, I'm kind of compelled to get in front of the camera to talk a little bit about what I've seen going on in the last few days with a lot of negativity and bullying and just all kinds of bad stuff going on in the video game industry. Um, I've been playing games, as many of you know, for well over 3 decades. It's been a big part of my life, and life hasn't always been good, as it hasn't been for a lot of you, I'm sure. Um, single parent household with younger brother and sister I had to take care of a lot. We were not really all that well off. Um, I really didn't get along too well with kids in school. I was picked on a lot. I was the outcast. Um, but video games were my escape. They were my way out. They were my way to feel like I was doing something that I wasn't, that people weren't going to pick on me for. It was kind of my own thing. And now we see things like an escalated incident where Phil Fish, who's the lead for Polytron Entertainment and the designer of Fez, and was going to be the designer of Fez 2, and just he had an exchange with a member of the media, with Marcus Beer. The two of them kind of went back and forth. Some things were said, probably on both sides, that were regrettable. Things escalated, and now we're at the point where, at least today, as of July 27th, Phil Fish says that he's just done with video games altogether. He's canceled Fez 2, and he's going away. Now, whether that's permanent, whether that's temporary, it's tough to say. It's disappointing to see this kind of thing happen for a variety of reasons. Granted, what happened between Phil and Marcus is between them. I'm sure that both guys, if they had the chance to do it all again, would probably react a little differently. But then once people on the outside of the conversation get involved, people that have been generally supportive of Phil throughout his career, despite some things that Phil said that were a little inflammatory or perceived the wrong way. You have that on one side. You have people who have been kind of against Phil and have given him a hard time on the other side. And it kind of got bad, where people were getting on both Phil's case and Marcus's case, and it got embarrassing. And now here we are, where Phil, who was a promising, or in a former life was a promising game designer, is now considering doing something else, or at the very least is taking some time away. And it's a lot like school. You do something you love. Sometimes you say some things you shouldn't say. You're certainly responsible for those things that you say, but then you become an outcast. You become bullied. You become the target of abuse. And for some people, the response for being abused like that is to give back, rather than take the high road. Understand that I probably shouldn't say anything back. Maybe I should block these people. Maybe I shouldn't listen. And that didn't happen here, and that's really too bad. You hate to see this kind of stuff, especially someone like me who always used video games as an escape, and now, with the prevalence of the internet and information always being instant and constantly evolving, plus the advent of social media as a preferred medium where people can just talk to each other across the miles and make their opinions known, and it turns into a battlefield where things are said back and forth that probably shouldn't be said. Not a lot of thought is put into it, and then here we are. You hate to see it, and we don't have to. what we really need to do, myself included, because I know that I've said and I've done some things that have angered some people in my social media career. I know that I try not to do that. It's not something that I set out when I get up in the morning to do, is to try and antagonize people. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, or at least online I do, and sometimes it gets me into trouble. I wrote some pretty scathing comments about Gamma Sutra not carrying NP, or not really bothering with NPD too much anymore, and the editor in chief there read me the riot act, and I was upset about it at the time, but he was right. I probably could have been more respectful in the way that I approached it. I should have been. I should have known better, and I didn't do that. So, if there are going to be changes, if I'm going to talk about making changes or people treating others with respect, it has to start with me. And I think that we all have to think about that for ourselves. We can talk all the time about how this person bullied this person, or this person said something bad about this person, and man, we shouldn't do that. We should think first. But it really starts. Any change starts with ourselves before we can talk about anyone else. And I know that I've made mistakes, and I apologize for them. I need to be better. When there's something that I disagree with, when there's something that happens that upsets me or disappoints me, I need to approach that message better. And I'm going to try and do that. I may not be perfect, but I'm aware of it. And I know that that changes need to be made in order to have better discourse, in order for people to be more respectful, to feel like they can talk about things that they want to talk about, but in a decent, civil, respectful manner. And I'm hoping that happens. I've never been a big fan of Phil Fish's. I've said as much. I've written about it. Some of the comments that he made about Japanese games, and then some of his vitriolic reactions to people who are upset at him for saying those things. I've never been a fan. I wish that he had approached it differently. I wish that as a professional, as someone who's in the business, who understands that fans can be pretty passionate, there's a time when you just have to kind of sit back and put your hands up and go, all right, I need to step away. I understand that you guys are upset. Before I say things that I may regret, I need to back off. I need to go do something else. And unfortunately, it hasn't happened that way. Phil has been a lightning rod of controversy for the better part of a year now. And some of this he brings on himself. He brought upon himself. Didn't have to, but when you don't understand how social media works, when you think that, although you should be able to just say what you want, when you say what you want, when you act the way that you want to act, you have to understand that sometimes that carries consequences. It's just the way that it is. You kind of have to think those things through. Every day when I jump on Twitter, there are tweets that I am this close to sending, and then I read it back. I realize that it doesn't sound quite right, that it could be misinterpreted, that it could be disrespectful, that it may not be funny to some like it is to others, and I delete them. I delete probably 20 to 30 tweets a day, just because I put thought into it and I try and be empathetic. What others think. Do I really want to upset anybody? Is it really worth it? What benefit is it to me to make someone angry, to make someone upset, or to have them lash out at me for something that I'm lashing out about? It's not worth it. So I know that I have to do better, and I think that although this is very unfortunate, and it is sad to see Phil go. Regardless of what I think of the person and the way that he acted. The fact of the matter is that a lot of people respected his work, and he needs to be recognized for that. But seeing this happen, it shouldn't happen in vain. This should be a wake-up call for all of us, and it starts with myself to just be better people, be excellent to each other. Don't be a dummy, I guess. So that's it. More gaming related stuff next time. Have a great rest of your weekend.